Julia, thanks so much for joining me here today on the Ripple Effect with Ray. So excited to dive into who you are and how you got to be here and what you do today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat today.
Amazing. So, Julia, tell me, how did you get to start your coaching business, your lifestyle, anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, definitely. A few years ago, I started having numerous, what I like to call like minor health issues going on with me. And, nothing like life-threatening, nothing, crazy, but just enough to like raise concern and, have me start to look into, what's going on. And so I found functional medicine, which is really focused on finding the root cause behind, symptoms that you might be having and getting to the why of what's going on in your body. So started looking into that and, was really blown away by what I was learning. So I started working with a functional medicine practitioner, doing some testing, doing some lifestyle changes, and over time, over a few months, I started to really see a lot of improvements in my health. So this made me think, I really am enjoying learning about functional medicine. I'm seeing a lot of really great benefits and changes. And around that same time, I was feeling really unfulfilled in my current career. And had been looking for a new career path for a while. I wanted something that gave me more purpose, that felt aligned with my values and that I got excited about. And so I kind of started to think, well, maybe I should try and look for something, in the functional medicine field. I really enjoy, reading about, these types of things in my free time. I'm enjoying like talking to people about it. I'm obviously very interested in it. So maybe I should look into it. And so I looked into just like kind of Googled like functional medicine jobs. My career had mostly been in kind of like marketing and account management and things like that. And so that's kind of what I went into. And I found the first thing that popped up in the search was this health coach certification. And after looking into that and kind of reading about what a health coach does and a functional medicine certified health coach that is, I was really like surprised at how all of these kind of dots started connecting with this role in particular. All of these kind of skills and interests and things that I had were all being connected with this one role. And I was like, I feel like this is something I need to do. It is very much aligned with my values and my interests. And so I took the leap and I did the year-long certification and opened my health coaching business earlier this year. And I'm just really happy that I'm able to help people directly now with my lived experiences and can just help people live healthier lives.
That's amazing. And I just love that you, figured out how to make it work for your own life and then also decided to, hey, how can I make this ripple out further? I think it's so needed, the education around functional health. And what would you say has been one of the most impactful changes that you've implemented in your own life?
That's a good question. I would say finding workouts that I enjoy. Also, finding different types of food meals that I enjoy that are nourishing. I have definitely, I was always like an athlete in high school and whatnot. And so like working out and being active has always been part of my life. And into adulthood, I, have tried, all the different types of workouts, that there are. And, obviously some have tried. I'm like, oh, this is really fun. I enjoy doing this. I could do this, again. And some workouts that you try, I'm sure everyone feels this way. You're like, oh no, this is not for me. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but I'm just really not enjoying this. So I think it's leaning into what you enjoy doing and what you can find yourself coming back to without too much, you know, um, like internal like conflict, like, oh, like trying to like get yourself to go do it. Trying to find things that you actually enjoy doing that are active, that's going to be the best thing for you is to have that positive association with it, and being consistent with it. So I've, kind of with trial and error found, a few different types of workouts that I really enjoy. And then kind of similarly with food, trying to find food that is very, nourishing for my body without feeling too restricted or limited, and learning how to prepare it in a way that it tastes good and it's interesting and it's not like boring and something that you're just like not looking forward to. You're actually like, oh, this dish, sounds really good. And hey, it's good for me too.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I think I resonate with what you're saying in so many different ways. Like, I don't think I could be that gym girly that goes and lifts and picks up weight and then comes home and makes chicken and rice and broccoli for dinner every single night. Like, I just, it's
Yep.
not me. And the type of person that I am is like, I love yoga and Pilates and walks. And that's kind of
Yeah.
my active lifestyle, right? But I used to be like the Orange Theory and berries girly. And like, I realized
Hmm.
that it's just like, as I'm getting older, it's just maybe that's not what my body necessarily desires anymore. So I
Yeah.
think it's really interesting to hear you also say, oh, this is something that felt like, finding something that I enjoy doing and that tastes good is what's
Yep.
important. So what would
Find
you
what
say
works for you.
exactly? What works for you? What works for you might be different for like there could be that person that's like very like strict and diligent and does eat those,
Yeah.
prepped meals every single day and like, great.
Yeah.
Um, but what would you say have been some like industry trends, things that you're seeing that's, maybe shifting or where are things going?
So I feel like when I think of the industry's trends, three kind of stand out to me from my experience. And the first that I've noticed, I think over the past few years, has been awareness of the ingredients in your food. People are finally starting to, look at those ingredient lists, turn over their packages of food and look at what's in it versus just trusting, the marketing on the front. So I think people are becoming more and more aware of what is in their food. Second, I think is wearable technology. I'm seeing people, everywhere. They have either a watch or a ring, and people want that real-time data about their body, and it's not just tracking steps anymore. It's tracking your sleep, women's cycles, stress levels they can track now. People are wearing CGMs to track their glucose levels, who don't even have diabetes. People want that nitty gritty information on their bodies so they can see in real time, what's going on. And then I think the third trend that I've noticed is kind of along with that data, getting that personalized lab testing done. People are interested in, looking under the hood and seeing what's going on. They have these like direct to consumer lab testing that you can, kind of order and sign up for yourself. You can sign up, get the testing done, and then like a qualified healthcare professional kind of reviews your results and sends you a summary. And then you can take that information, to your doctor or do with it what you want to kind of, look at next steps based on, what's going on in your body. And this is great because sometimes, or a lot of times those types of tests, those comprehensive panels have a lot more, biomarkers that are tested than you can get, in just like your annual physical with your doctor. So it's really getting, diving deep into your biology and understanding what's going on so that you can be more preventative, in your health versus, reactive, once something pops up, then you're kind of taking care of it. People are taking a proactive approach. So I think it's, that transparency with ingredients, real-time data, and just understanding your body and, being an advocate for your own health.
I love that. I agree completely. I feel like more and more people are becoming aware rather than just blind faith
Yeah.
in the food industry and that, that our body is doing what it's supposed to and gathering. I love my Aura ring. I love the
Yeah.
data that it gives me and like it just I feel like for me personally it tells me, hey, okay, maybe you didn't sleep well the night before. Like, how can we make up for it tonight? Or, oh, okay, I'm not feeling at my best. What's my score? Right. So
Yeah.
I do, I do love the data. Or like, I wake up feeling super refreshed. I'm like, oh, my score is a 97. Great. We love that.
Yeah. Like an added bonus. You're like, I feel good. And the data says I should
And
be
the
feeling
data is
good.
confirming.
Yep.
Exactly. I feel validated. Exactly. What would you say in your business or has been working well? What's been maybe a little bit more frustrating?
What's been working well is people seem to be very receptive to health coaching and kind of the methods that we use for implementation and behavior change. I've been fortunate enough to work with a variety of clients from all different types of backgrounds and ages and whatnot, and the results speak for themselves. People are really finding success in working with a health coach and having someone there to be an accountability partner and to help them put systems in place to, reach their goals and plan out contingencies and to ask those questions that they may not have been thinking of, themselves. So I think that is like very confirming for me to see, my clients be successful. The challenging part is I think that broader reach of educating people on what health coaches are, what we do, why it might be necessary or valuable. Because a health coach isn't, it's kind of a relatively new role, I think. And, a lot of people, when I tell them I'm a health coach, they're like, oh, is that like a life coach? Are you like a nutritionist? Which health coaches are not either of those things. I can see why, there's a lot of similarities. But so it's really kind of getting that broader, awareness of why health coaching is important, why it can be valuable, why we are able to help people really we bridge the gap between people knowing what they should do and actually doing it. It's more of that implementation, behavior change piece that's, missing a lot of times with other types of, protocols. So I think just getting the challenge has been getting people to recognize, what health coaching is and why it's valuable and how it can help you on your wellness journey.
And I think you bring up such a interesting point too, as far as just the coaching field in general. I think coaching as a job occupation is in the grand scheme relatively new. I mean, I think it's only started being coined within the past 20 or so years, give or take. And I would say it's even skyrocketed in terms of how many people are calling themselves coaches these days. And like they just wake up one day and like decide they quit their corporate job and call themselves a coach. And, not really, it's unregulated. There's not a whole lot of I mean, I think there's a lot of to be said of part of the people that go through trainings and get the credentials, and it's also about like breaking through that noise and making sure that your voice is heard, that hey, you went through a year-long program, you kind of know what you're talking about versus
Yeah.
like the people that, woke up one day or like, I'm going to tell you how to live your best life, right?
Exactly. Coaches aren't really supposed to like be telling you what to do. We can educate to a certain extent, but like in my training, we learned, the coach is separate from an expert, like we're coaching people and these people are the experts in their own lives. So we're just kind of there to kind of support them and guide them and kind of educate and get them to a certain place. But, we're not really supposed to like tell people what they
Right.
should be doing. And I think that might be the difference between some people who get, the certification and the training versus people that wake up one day and just say, I'm a coach, I'm going to tell you what to do.
Right, exactly. And I think that's such a great way of talking about what an actual coach does, right? Because I remember when I went through my training, we were told, hey, like you kind of like riding a bike, right? As a coach, you are standing kind of alongside them, believing in them, you can do this, and like kind of guiding them to believe in themselves that they can do this versus
Mm.
say like I would say maybe a consultant, trainer, mentor, whatever you want to call it, is the one that's kind of like holding you and telling you this is my expertise and this is how I think you should ride a bike versus coaching is like I believe in you and you have all the tools that you need. Um,
Yeah.
where would you say in your business, in your life, where do you hope to be in the next couple years?
I hope to have a broader reach in helping more people find the joy in living healthier.
Mm.
So, like I said, I started my business earlier this year. I'm hoping to, really grow and get more clientele and just be able to touch more lives. And I just feel really strongly about this because I have been able to kind of build a, health and wellness journey for myself that I really enjoy and that I look forward to. And I have a very positive experience with, my health practices that I do. And, that's not to say like I definitely, indulge in, certain things every now and then. And I don't feel guilty about it. I don't feel, limited or restricted. I feel like I have a very balanced approach. And my health practices, whether that be getting good sleep or, getting my movement in, eating, healthy, those just make me feel, so much more like myself. They make me feel so much more alive and they just bring a lot of really, positive experiences to my life. And I want other people to have that same experience. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that just have a negative association with anything, related to health. They're like, I hate working out. I hate eating vegetables. And I want to help people find what works for them because I think everyone can have a positive experience with health. They just have to, stop looking at what works for other people and start looking inward at what can work for them. Because, like we said earlier, it looks different for everybody. The same workout that worked for someone else isn't maybe going to work for you just because maybe you have a different schedule, different, things that bring you joy, different skills that you're good at. When you're good at something, you kind of like to keep doing it because it gives you that, positive reinforcement. So I really want to just be able to reach more people and help people find, different healthier practices that make them feel really good and make them, feel a positive association with living healthier and making good wellness choices. I
Absolutely.
also, oh, sorry, and I just remembered, I also am a newly certified personal trainer as of a few days ago. So in the next couple of years, or, sooner than that, hopefully, but I would like to kind of expand more into that, side of things and be able to give people specific fitness recommendations on top of the health coaching as well.
Amazing. Well, congrats
Thank
on
you.
that. Speaking on my own experience, it's not an easy exam. So it definitely put me back in like this test taking mode that I wasn't used to a few years back. So
Yeah.
both in the I'm sure the health coaching training and certification, these are both I want everyone to know that these are not just like easy walk in the park trainings or exams. Like they are the real deal. And so I want everyone listening here that Julia is the real deal. And
Thank you.
I obviously
Trying
don't.
my best.
I've only had a few conversations so far, and obviously everyone can explore on their own. So, Julia, how can people find you?
Yeah, they can find me. My website is holdenlifestylehealth.com. And on Instagram, it's at Holden Lifestyle Health.
Amazing. Well, Julia, thank you so much for joining me here today. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you and talk with you, and excited to hear what our listeners have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel. It's been great. I appreciate it.